So, good morning, gentlemen. So, I'm going to discuss with you the topic that is Russia Ukraine war. So, we are going to discuss Russia Ukraine war, but first of all, we have to understand what the reason behind this, what the core thing that is behind the war. So, number one thing, we have to understand the historical background. Means when the Russia collapsed, means when USSR collapsed in the 1991, we see there was a different countries structured within the like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Belarus, Ukraine. These type of countries emerged within the USSR. So we see that these are the countries. They have the different sovereign. They have their sovereignty. They respect their other countries. They are sovereign. They are sovereign in nature. Means they are new in this world. Okay, means they are sovereign countries. So we have to understand Russian Ukraine war. So Russia and Ukraine. Russian Ukraine means Russia. Ukraine is a part of the Russia. Means we can say that it is a twin. These both countries like Ukraine and the Russia are both are twin brothers. But our question is what happened to their twin brothers? So, so we have to understand then when this country divided. So we see that Ukraine leaned towards the west sides, west side towards the NATO, towards the European Union. So Russia didn't like it all because Russia sees that he's my territory. He was my territory. So what's happened to the Ukraine. So like NATO, US, European Unions, they means Russia toward them. So there's a vote. So there was a voting happened between the in the Ukraine. So result find out that means southern and the eastern portion of the Ukraine people are lean towards the Russia and the western portion of the Ukrainian people lean towards the west and the NATO sides. So there was a main core reason behind this rivalry. So now we have to understand what are the historical thing. Now we have understood the historical thing, what are the military context between these two countries. So we have to understand that what is the military context, that Russia, we know that Vladimir Putin, the most cruel, not cruel, but his nature is very rigid. Means they don't feel, means he don't feel easily defeated. So these are very cruel, means Vladimir Putin very cruel nature. And we also how we also understand what Ukraine soldiers means. Ukraine are very less in size, but their Ukraine means continue war for the last 3 to 4 years. So what is the main reason? How they got support? Because we see that this is small country as compared to the Russia. Russia have the nuclear arsenal. They have the weapons. They have the missiles, drones, everything they have. They can war like they can war means like 4 to 5 years. But if we see the context of the Ukraine can't war this long. Means they have this support. So Russia see they have this support in like NATO and European Union. They provide everything like the financial support, like arms and ammunition, military funds. This everything provided by the NATO and the world forces. That's why this war is in 2 days. We also see that this war is not get solved. So this is the reason. So number third reason is the military context. We have understood the military context, we have understood the historical context, and number third is the economic context. So we know that when the Russia means attacked the invaded the Ukraine, so there was a lot of means trade barriers put onto the Russia. Like the Russia means previously we see that European Union, the whole European Union Sol means Russia supplied their crude oil, the natural gas to the European Union. But when they invaded the Ukraine, there is a tariff barrier on the Russian. So there is a lot of, but other some developing countries like the India, and there are other countries that they want to, means they want to that war is going to solve, but they also want that our energy supplies, like India's energy supplies and their basic needs get fulfilled. So these are the things. We have understood historical background, we have understood military background, we have understood economic background. No, we have understood what is a political background. Political thing is very happen like NATO and the European Union. They means they have the back to the Ukraine. That's why they have been fighting since the 2021 to till date. And you also know Russia. Russia have support like China, Ukraine, China, Iran, and North Korea. They provided means all the technology that's related to the war, like nuclear arsenal is not in there, but we see that the drones, missile, everything they provided in these three countries, China, Iran, and North Korea, provided to the Ukraine, Russia. So this is the political structure. No, we see that war starts in 2021, and now in 2026 we also see that the war is not going to end. So we saw that the factors, historical factors, we saw that political factors, we saw military factors, we saw that the economical factors. These are the factors that this war not going to end. So in the end we can say that means why this war means we world want, and the geopolitics, in the geopolitics countries also want that both the countries, or it's both the countries solve their problems and they forward their hand to meet, and they put their hands to shake their hands in the common regime. But we see that why is the war is not going to end. We provided the reason like historical, we provided the political, we provide the economic, we provide the historical back, we provide the historical structure, we provide the military, we provide the economic, we provide the political structure. So these are the structures that war is not going to end. Both countries don't want to the ceasefire because Russia occupied most of the Ukraine territories. But on the other hands, Russia don't want to be ceasefire because they want, Russia has the limit. If you accepted my the wishes, my fulfillment, my needs, I will accept the ceasefire. And Russia's what the Russia's want, what Russia want. Russia want that you are not going to interfere in the eastern side of the Russia, and if means you don't put your military on the eastern side of the Russia, you don't put, and you don't force NATO to you don't force, you don't have the right to force Ukraine to participate and to taken part in the NATO, and other they want that you put their military back off. So these are the Russia want. These are the Vladimir Putin wants. But these are the things that USA means like NATO and European Union are not going to accept, because they know that this is the most important thing that they are not going to believe or not going to agree. So USA, and also they, if you don't agree, they continue supply to the wars, ammunition, basic needs to the Ukraine. Fight goes till, we don't know how the fight goes on, but the fight goes. So that's all. Thank you.